let's begin. Back up again in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, when we last left our thieves, we had just defeated Lich. We need to go back and get our dearly departed Neapolitan Afterglow revived, and then we will make preparations for heading into Ordeals. And Ordeals is going to definitely be an ordeal. We don't exactly have a solid plan for the primary monster in there, which is the Zomble. There's kind of 2 routes through there. You can do the Zomble route, which is what I'm going to try first. It takes a lot of setup time, because it's fairly far into the encounter cycle. And again, the Thieves versus Zombles is a bit sketchy. But the alternative is Medusas, and Medusas also have some very strong sketch. We have no real way of resisting their stone touch, and we also don't have a way of desperately coming back. Like, one of the things that you have with mages going through Ordeals is that they start knocking out your front party members, who are the ones that can run. You've got Fire 2, which does pretty good damage on Medusas, as a last-ditch hope for the back party members to succeed. This team doesn't really have that. The Thieves are going to have to keep the front alive, or they're going to have to avoid the Medusas entirely, which is what my plan is going to try out. You know what? I think it's time for Dan to be in charge here. Let's go ahead and put him up front and restock our heal potions, which I think we used a decent number during our Earth Cave adventure. So we're going to grab more of these. Doing our healing potion waltz. And making sure that each and every healing potion is individually inspected for quality and for freshness. There's those done. Let's grab our pure potions next. I might need some more cabins as well, and once we get class changed, for the first time, we may even care about houses. Thankfully, that time is a little bit in the future, so don't need to worry about too much quite yet. But this will be the last of our supplies here to pick up, and then we will head straight to Ordeals. And I do Ordeals first because I would like to get that Zeus Gauntlet. 2 Zeus Gauntlets pretty much wipe out the wizards in the Ice Cave, which otherwise would be a very, very long battle. So I think that's a ideal way to deal with that fight in there. I tried just not getting any encounters in Ordeals. That would be the dream. And you can actually get down to 3 encounters. I think there's a couple places where you get to 2 encounters, but they're not good 2 encounters. You can get to 3 good encounters, which is what our setup is going to be based off of. Zombles and Whiz-Mummies. Zombles are unrunnable, which is why the Thieves actually have to have a little bit of prep for it. And the mummies we intend to simply flee for our lives. I need the canoe. That would help. That's right, we're just coming out of Earth Cave. We have not yet gone back to Crescent Lake. You have slightly more time to put your Ordeals guesses in, I guess. Hey Larsima, welcome back for 41 months. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night here, and enjoy the lurking. Any chance of finding a better Dan? Sadly, this is about as good as our party is going to get. I mean, right now, you're pretty much near the pinnacle of your thieving existence. You've picked up the Dragon Sword, Coral Sword, Rune Sword, which is, other than the Masmune, the best the thief has to work with when it comes to weapons. Armor-wise, you've got the bracelets, and so you do get, you want to do 4 Thieves without class change. Gold Bracelet and Pro Ring is further upgrades, which is another 16 defense, basically doubling what you have on right now. But sadly, the offense does not really improve. Fortunately for ninjas, there is a wide variety of better gear options that are out there, and that really is what makes the Four Ninjas so much more smoothly done than Four Thieves at the end of the game. Having more attacks per round, more base damage, means that you're not going to just get slaughtered by all of the fiends. Hey Wild Roger, welcome in. I hope you're having a wonderful day here as we resume our Four Thief adventure. And now we've got the canoe. I was all set to beat up these old men until they gave me what I wanted, and the first one just happened to have it. Alright, that is better now. So with that, we can take the backdoor entrance into Ordeals. And we'll get our encounters reset before we go in. I believe it is 13 battles after Power On that we want to skip through. And the speedruns, you have a nice little setup where you get to take a lot of those battles while traveling around. But that requires some alignment for how the boat encounters work versus the number of steps that you have. And when you're doing it kind of blind going in, it's slightly better to do it with a hard reset rather than trying to continue on from Earth Cave there. Betting the tails and Ordeals, I'm hoping for the Mazmune. You actually had the Mazmune at the start of Temple of Fiends for Four Thieves. It would still be really bad, but it would at least be slightly better. Looks like we're too far to the west here. We've come over the top of Gaia. So let's edge in on here. And head down. I think the biggest thing that we picked up from our adventures during day one was I was surprised at how well the thieves did at pretty much the lowest possible levels. Like, yes, a lot of them took a couple tries. We got lucky with the Marsh Cave being try 1. But in a couple tries, we got Astos down at level 10, which is pretty much the earliest you want to basically try that. That's when you get your 2 attacks per round for the first time. And we did Lich at level 13, which I picked level 13 because that had an opportunity for a strong HP level up there. And the next one wasn't for another 2 levels. So you had a little bit of time before you'd be able to try at a more powerful state. And while Lich definitely took more tries, in the end, he was amenable. Hey, Tark said, welcome in. I'm just burning through some encounters to make the entrance into Ordeals go better. Ordeals is very tight on steps overall. And a lot of really bad encounters in there. You've got the sorcerers, with both an all-party paralysis as well as instant death touch. You've got the man-cats and the gargoyles, who come in large packs and cast fire 2s. And even the good fights are pretty bad. The unrunnable zombies, the groups of Medusas. Like, normally those would be encounters that you would very much be trying to avoid. But in this place, those are actually the best things that you can get in terms of placement. Hey there, Akashi, welcome in. I think we've got 5 more skips to go. There's this big sequence of Catman Saber Tate. And we'll know when we're done if we see a Sphinx pop up. This one should be it. Yep, there's our Sphinx. Alright, let's go in. So this route through here has 2 mummy fights, and mummies are runnable. They do hurt a bit, but they are the easiest thing to deal with in this dungeon. And then 1 zombie encounter. We're hoping for a solo zombie, but it could be 1, 2, or 3. Zombies are about on par with giants, and we can beat 2 giants. Not certain about 3, but we would definitely give it a go if we have to do it. Can you do a setting to fix the encounters for a record run? So it depends on the category. There are categories that allow you to do resets, and there are categories that don't allow you to do resets. And for ones that don't allow you to do resets, it's a lot of planning involved for how you're going to get the reasonably good encounters without having to do excessive amounts of battling in between the dungeons or walking around extra time on a particular floor. Yeah, pretty theory. Are you allowed to be ninjas? That is going to be the plan. Even if you didn't want to get class changed, you'd still want to come to Ordeals, because that has the Zeus Gauntlet. It's got a gold bracelet here as well. And if you need cash, you could sell the Ice Sword for a little bit extra. So there's a lot of good value in the treasures. You can skip the second copy of this encounter by going up to that little crinkle cut for the corner, but I'm going to take it because I don't know if I've got enough steps. Unless I slide along the bottom edge here, which does save you in terms of the number of things that you have for potentially dangerous squares. Alright, so that's going to be our gold bracelet. Just going to replace that. We'll have that ice sword for later, our first real ninja weapon upgrade. And there should be our last Ordeals encounter, except for the boss, which is going to be 1 or 2 zombie Ds. And zombie Ds, they hit really hard and they have stun touch, which makes them a dangerous foe. Let's see, we're going to get rid of your gloves for this. Give you the Zeus Gauntlet. Six hours isn't bad. Yeah, 6 hours is really good for where we have gotten to at this point. I am pretty happy with how our pace has gone. Like, the biggest thing yesterday was about 25-30 minutes to beat Lich, and that was really the one that was the most worry overall in terms of would we be able to be successful. Speaking of successful, Servo taking a shot to the face there and going into stun. That is worrisome. Really want to get this top zombie D down. Now, Neep's going to be doing great damage to that Zeus Gauntlet. But it has to stay alive enough rounds for it to be effective. I think top one's going to go down with another Zeus. There we go. One down. One more to go. Might actually get through here with everybody still alive, which would be impressive. We need Neep to go first. I don't think anybody else can do enough damage to kill the zombie D here. No, Dan! Well, it was close. We almost had our 4 thieves successfully get through the zombie D. But 3 out of 4 is not bad. And I didn't grab the tail. Ah! I was holding on the control pad to get through the XP up. Try again. I'm gonna undo that split. Redo the zombie Ds. That's aggravating. Going back through the setup here. Just goes to show you should not take your eye off the screen while advancing through the prompts. Who do we blame for that? Likely I was so distraught over Dan's death that we will have to give him the overall blame. Why not save outside first? Because I'd have to redo it with 3 characters. And I still have to beat the zombie Ds a second time. So basically, if you save it, you get the experience from the Zombo and Zombie D kill. You get to keep the Zeus Gauntlet and the gold bracelet, but you'd have 1 less character to go back through it. Two more skips to go. And this should be the last one here. There we go. Got our Sphinxes. Alright. Try number 2. That was just the warm-up practice run, making sure that everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing during the fights. Looks like those were good. Now we're here for the real trip. It's so nice knowing what all of the pillars are. It's actually not that much extra time when you're figuring it out in the randomizer for, you know, like, which of the pillar combinations do you need to do, but the big thing is just having to track all that information while also dealing with the encounters and the travel through there. Just got a whole bunch of stuff to have to deal with all at once. Instead of just being like, always go to the bottom. Just super easy to remember. Good hit right there. I'm surprised the Silver Knife did that much damage. Silver Knife actually may not be the best weapon for the 4th character if you're playing 4 Thieves. Sometimes Falchion is better because you don't necessarily need the extra Silver Knife accuracy. Same thing as between like the Scimitar and Saber. Is whenever the high accuracy weapon doesn't actually get you an additional attack per round. You might need to switch back and forth between them. Fortunately for 4 ninjas, we will have far, far better gear in order to make our way through the game and not rely on knife as our 4th best alternative. There's the heal staff. Getting the double nightmares. I mean, the big thing will be it's much easier if we can get 1 zombie D instead of 2. So maybe we'll have slightly better luck on that fight. So bracelet is gone. Are you allowed to sit on a team? Yep, although you don't know what the Season 11 monsters are going to be, so you probably will need to change that team before Season 11 starts. But there's nothing preventing you from updating your current team as is. Hey, Pepper Punch, we do Final Fantasy 7 in the second half of the stream. For now, we have the Thieves. Alright, encounters are done. Let's get our Zombie D revenge. Again, 2 Zombie Ds. They're making it tough on me here. 50-50 whether you get 1 or 2. This time, Dan and Servo go down fast. That is very concerning for our damage output here. Obviously, we need Neep to stay up during this, because that Zeus Gauntlet is doing very heavy lifting for our team right now. And if one of our lead characters goes down, it just increases the odds that the back gets targeted. Good dodge by Neep right there. Hey, Runeseeker, thank you very much for the good wishes. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day here. Cat Claw is arguably nothing. You cannot, under any circumstances, argue Cat Claw for anything besides intricately shaped electronic waste. Now we got the tail. And this time, everybody made it. Our 4 thieves have their quest item from Ordeals, and we'll be heading on to the Ice Cave. It ended up working out pretty well in terms of a good confidence boost for our readiness dealing with this level of enemy. Like that Ordeals trip both times was pretty similar. And that monsters in the range of Zombles and Zombies were well within our capabilities. Something that kind of is a bit of a shock for 4 thieves there. I think the Zeus Gauntlet power boost is particularly welcome for that. Hey, Pepper Punch, thank you much for those bits. We will definitely put those towards the 4th Thief Relief Fund, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Melmont Incorporated. Melmont, it's always in need of a whole bunch of relief. See, with this round, it should be 1 Mummy Cockatrice fight. And we've got at least 4 soft potions, so we are good there. Got our wizard battle, which other Zeus Gauntlet should be good there as well. You have to survive a round of wizards, which can be difficult for your lead thief. but the rest of the team should be fine. And then you have the eye fight, which is where Ice Cave really gets mean. And the neat thing is going to be, my plan here is to split the Ice Cave into 2 trips. One that we're going to do now just to get the floater. And then once we have a chance to get pro rings and some gold bracelets or some better gear, we're going to return to pick up the ice shield, flame sword, iceman, other things that are ninja exclusives. And so that way, we may actually be able to get a very small eye grind in. I want to see if it is possible to work that into a return trip style. And should also make it much easier to have the routing for the steps as we go through and try to avoid all the sorcerers and other bad encounters. Sorcerers and mages are the big ones that you really have to avoid. And you would like to avoid the wizards and cockatrices as well. And probably Frost Giant, Frost Wolf. Those are not especially fun for most groups. How did pre-Astos grind go? It was about 3.5 hours to Name Reaps. We did a grind from level 2 up to level 10. And it was first try on Marsh Cave, second try on Astos, which was really lucky. I was expecting Astos to be 10 to 20 tries. And then after Astos, we basically did Vampire immediately, and then a grind at level 13, and Lich was, I believe, 4 tries? Which is pretty much in line with what I was expecting. I think last time we got very lucky and got Lich either first or second try. 4 is not unreasonable for going through that dungeon. You have to balance, like, Astos you can do a whole bunch of tries because it's very, very cheap for just walk in there and restart the fight. Whereas Lich, you've got a couple minutes of walking, so you don't want to have as many long bits of travel if you can get away with it. Alright, so Neep's got the Zeus Gauntlet. That's fine in slot 3. Let's check out Ice Cave here. If I remember correctly, we want to skip 2 battles at the start. And let's see if this works. A lot of this is going to be improv because I don't need to pick up a lot of the chests along the way. But it would be slightly more efficient if I end up grabbing, you know, the Flame Sword or Ice Shield if I have time as I go through those floors. Well, Dan's stoned. Is Ice Armor one of the items? Yeah, we'll eventually want to get the Ice Mail, Ice Shield, and maybe the Flame Sword. Say maybe the Flame Sword because we might have enough other weapons quickly enough that it wouldn't even be our 4th best alternative in any circumstance. I've got the Ice Sword from Ordeals. There's another Ice Sword in Gurgu. And you can get the Defense Sword pretty quickly. That may be enough to get your party reasonably outfitted. Nice, we really love those first strikes. I'll absolutely want to have the first strike on the trap tile encounter. Spectergeist has a lot of attacks per round to try and apply paralysis. Okay, then you have a Frost Giant fight coming up here. Let's get every little bit of hit points that we can. Zeus and kill the wolf. Hey, Soul Shade, welcome in. Great to have you here today as we continue our 4th Thief playthrough. Nice, we did not get frosted. 25% chance of Frost Breath, which does a lot of damage. Unlike in Randomizer, Frost Wolves are very undesirable in a base game playthrough to fight. They definitely do not give enough experience and gold for their damage output. Now, they're easy to kill if you've got a fire source, but we do not. And so we need at least 2 good hits on them in order to take one down. More, there we go. Alright. On this floor we have a mage, which is dangerous, so I'm going to skip the flame sword. Because I don't think we need it. Definitely needed that first strike. Look at that pile of junk there. That is great to have out of our way. Looking at what's coming up. There is a lot of bad stuff on the 2nd floor for a while. We don't have to spend a lot of time there. And the 3rd floor is going to have bad stuff no matter which way we go. Okay. I think I've got a plan. And that plan is to get some Agama facts. Thank you, everyone, for unlocking yet another important piece of wonderful Agama information. Did you know that Agama lasts for 80 or 90 years before requiring refrigeration? Make sure that you label and date your Agamas so that you know when they are about to go bad. And thank you very much for your continued support of the Agama Research Society's research activities. Awesome, Vinny, welcome in. 4 Thieves we were doing in between seasons 10 and 11. Between 9 and 10 we did 4 White Mages, which is a playthrough that I've done a couple times. 4 Thieves, it's a special one in many ways. And while we have done it without class change, this time around, with class change, we'll make it so that we have a reasonable finish. Without class change, you are terrified to the very, very end. Through Temple of Fiends, 4 ninjas is much more readily able to take on Temple of Fiends. It's still very difficult because you have no healing and you don't really do a lot of damage, but it is way better than the non-class change variant. What happens if Agama goes past its refrigerate by date? Let's just say Neapolitan Afterglow. Your civilization may be doomed. No pressure, though. This is the toughest all-one class party, yes, by a pretty large margin. 4 White Mages and 4 Black Mages, especially 4 White Mages, I think has a reputation for being difficult, but it's actually not too bad. Because 4 White Mages has a bunch of tricks to speed through some of the big roadblocks. Like you can use Ruse and Mute and other good skills to really help out with some of the challenging bits. Estimating whether I should get the chest in here. I don't think I need to. But I can pick up an early ice shield, perhaps. There's the bone zone done. We'll get rid of your cap can go. There's our ice shield. Here is our eye fight. Hopefully Neep doesn't get knocked out. I think we can do enough damage to one round the eye. Nice! Resisting the glance. That is a solid opening here. And indeed, the eye has been beaten. We have a floater. Class change is going to be incoming once we escape from this terrible place. And I have 2 encounters that are safe before the mages show up. That should be enough to get across this floor here. Thieves have terrible melee damage. You can shorten that to Thieves have terrible. It would be fully accurate, I assure you. Gonna race, and if we have enough steps, we may be able to skip the wizard fight on the way out. I'm not certain, based on the route we picked, whether we will make it to the stairs before the next encounter, but we have a chance, and it's looking like it's good. That completes our first Ice Cave adventure. Again, we will want to come back for the Ice Mail. Ice Mail, Flame Mail, Opal Bracelet, and I guess you'll have 1 gold bracelet left over. It's going to be your body armor for the ninjas. You unfortunately kind of run out of available gear for them. It's clearly not ever been tested, having more than 2 thieves in a party. I'm surprised they even designed for that much to work. But you have 2 katanas, 2 mid-tier armors that they can use, 2 mid-tier shields. And then after that, you're putting scraps and odds and ends together in order to outfit your remaining ninjas. Hey, Disco Superfly, thank you much for the good wishes. This party will definitely need them. Weapon gets sent to Ninja number 4, so at the end of the game it's going to be Mazmune Katana Defense Sword. And before you've got the Mazmune, it's going to be the Sun Sword for number 4. Some people may argue for the Vorpal Sword because they are crazy, but I would probably want to do Sun Sword instead for most encounters. Vorpal Sword really is critical or bust on everything, and that's probably a reasonable strategy for the boss fights. But for a lot of regular encounters, Sun Sword will be the better damage option. Guy's trolling my airship. And let's go. 1 floater later, we have lifted off and are headed over to Bahamut and his extremely unnecessarily long hallways. We'll get a variety of fabulous upgrades, such as Ninja, 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 and, of course, the Ninja. No upside to the Vorpal Sword. So the Sun Sword is surprisingly bad in vanilla for its order in terms of critical hit rates, I believe. I want to say it's for some reason, stuck in like the middle instead of where the other endgame weapons are. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't expect to have a huge upside too. Go in, Vorpal. Hallway seems longer this hallway seems, at least 16 times. As long, and we have to do it in both directions. Hey, Compass 4, welcome in. Is defense better than the Sun and Vanilla? So, I usually prefer the Sun Sword because it does have higher base damage. Defense has better accuracy though. So if you need the extra attack per round, then you can take that approach. One of the reasons I just don't like the defense sword in general for offense is you really want to have it available for your lead character, who's going to be the one that is really at risk of taking physical hits. And if you have to plan for it to be used in the back of the party, then you're missing out on that good opportunity. If criticals weren't busted, how would the Vorpal Sword do? I think it'd still be pretty bad because its stats are really low. And this is just something that's very tough to overcome, even with the increased critical hit rate. Is if you're not doing enough damage consistently, and you're just hoping for like a really lucky swing, it's a very painful experience. Just a tiny chest. Yeah, it was the one that was not worth it. We're gonna wait for the dragon anyway. Here we go, Cardia is cleared out. Got a decent bit of change. We picked up one of the big rooms in the ice cave as well for some money. And let's actually start putting some stuff on. So we got an ice sword here, which is definitely going to beat out the value of everything else. I'm going to hold on to the heal staff because that is really important for the late game. Guess you can have Coral Sword now that should be replaced pretty soon. And then armor-wise, you can actually equip that Zeus Gauntlet. You're going to put the Ice Shield on, and we don't really need the second buckler, but I'll sell back for a little bit of cash as well. And let's watch the ninjas go to town versus 16 Ochos. Mostly I want to see the relative damage to see how they are doing with these small amounts of upgrades. Luckily, we don't have enough to get a additional attack per round. Ice Sword is a pretty solid weapon right now. Can you remember ninjas being so awful? Have you not been watching this channel, Dr. Amamine? I am pretty certain on a regular basis, we do go in depth into how they are terrible. There's our battle purchase. I would like to get the pro rings aggressively. I'm going to hold off a little bit on gold bracelets, because in theory we don't actually need to buy any. We'll get enough from our armor pickups and from bracelets and things that we find in the course of the game, and that'll save us a lot of cash. Okay, you've got buckler to sell. So that's going to go. Everybody's going to get rid of their gloves. Freeing up those slots. I guess you can get rid of your cap here. Make room for the pro ring. You know what? We can get the first ribbon really fast. That may be a better choice than buying an additional pro ring right now as well. So here, let's pop the model and go. Or Axial. this stretch here is going to be a lot of rapid dungeoneering. Picking up all the useful items that we can get our hands on. So I want to do Waterfall pretty quickly. We would like to do the Top of Sea Shrine. We want to get the Ice Mail out of the Ice Cave. We want to get the Flame Shield and Flame Mail out of Gurgu. Mage Staff out of Sea Shrine while we're there. Probably the Light Axe on the top floor as well. Thor Hammer and Sun Sword out of Mirage Tower. I guess we can get Ribbon and Pro Cape out of Sky Castle, although Ribbon's the real big priority out of that. But if I ended up be doing 100 damage plus regularly by this point, oh, way more than that. They would be doing way more than that by now. Go ahead and grab our elemental spells. It'll be a little while before we actually get spell slots, but this is to complement all of our usable items that we'll have distributed around in case we need a specific element on somebody. Other things to grab. So we never picked up the power staff from Northwest Castle. That's about 6,000 bucks. I know we should probably not worry too much about the money situation. This is kind of a temporary concern. We have a big cash crunch right after class change. But after this burst, there is nothing left for the ninjas to buy. They'll be very, very cheap in the late game. There's that Faust. You can also use that as your alternate weapon for a little while. There's Power Staff. Falchion and Silver Knife are your two weapons for the 4th slot ninja for a long, long time. Interesting. 4 Thieves is faster than a casual playthrough. Yeah, I mean, just knowing where to go in this game and how to optimally deal with leveling is such a big factor. Like, that is at least half of the game time I think that people spend playing this is where to go and how to grind to get in there. Like, they really expect you to do a lot of grinding in between every single dungeon in Final Fantasy. And being able to reduce the number of levels required or be able to grind efficiently is basically so rapidly speeding up your gameplay that it kind of changes the basic balance of a lot of the areas. And so suddenly things that seem like you should take a lot of work to get there, like ordeals, because they have great items inside, you can go and do them relatively quickly, and that will then improve further the experience for a lot of other areas as well. It kind of chains together really nicely as a result, and that's something that in a casual playthrough you just don't get that experience. You have these very hard stops where you beat a dungeon after a couple hours, and you grind for a couple hours, and you beat a dungeon after a couple hours, and kind of repeat that process over and over. Should I do Sea Shrine first? I think so. I'm gonna do Top of Sea Shrine at the beginning here. And let's see where we want to go in for Sea Shrine. I think we just skipped the first encounter. We might have to deal with some extra Sahag action, but that is probably okay, because we do have that Zeus Gauntlet. 20 hours without a guide, that's actually pretty good in Beyond KS. I'd say 20 hours is very, very fast for a blind playthrough of this. Because some of the things that you have to do in terms of making it through dungeons are pretty tough to kind of predict. Like, you know, what level is it going to be reasonable at? And for the boss moves, like, are you even close to being able to beat these encounters? Because sometimes you'll get kind of surprised with, you know, the boss decides to do, you know, 6 spells in a row and then just absolutely steamrolls you. And the next time, there's a lot of physicals. And so you have a way easier experience. Or vice versa in the case of Kraken. So it's just really tough to get a good sense of, are you ready for the encounter or not, as a result of the unpredictability of it. And just knowing the fact that they have, like, predictable spell and skill orders is a big deal. Like, a lot of that wasn't even really figured out until speedrunning got started, because people recognized patterns. Like the Kaizakus when you turn on the game for the first time, if you've got certain models in Nintendo's, you'd have it consistently as your first battle, and that's interesting information, because Kaizakus give you a lot of money. But some of the details about how the monster AI worked took a long time to really get figured out, for things like the percentage chances of what to do for each action and what order that they have, their spells and skill set, or even the fact that there is an order instead of just randomly choosing a move. Yeah, if you do a bad playthrough with or a blind playthrough with a bad set of party members, such as Four Thieves, you will definitely experience a very different situation than if you pick something reasonable. And I think a lot of people at least got the fighter in order to be able to have a really good tank in the front and good damage. But it was a bit of a unpredictable rest of the party. Because if you just do the party that's on the screen when the game starts at Fighter, Black Belt, Thief, and Red Mage, you're very short on spell actions. So you have to get a lot of levels in order to be able to survive the dungeons with a group like that. And the Thief is not helping. Black Belt doesn't really help either if you don't know to go barehanded and bare-chested on them as well. Yeah, putting nunchucks on your Black Belt, that is the thing that'll really kill you, is not realizing how much better they get without gear. Because that's not really well explained at all by the game. Mage Staff's gonna be on you. She'll put Mage Staff down there. It's more likely to be the good spot for it. Okay, come up on this floor. We've got a little while. I'm gonna try and grab everything. I might end up getting into a water encounter, but I should be able to survive that with this team now. Got our light axe. And our bonus door. Fighter, White Mage, Black Mage, and possibly Thief, I think, was a recommendation. That's actually 3 good party members. Like, having a mix of mages works really well. Fighter, Black Belt, White Mage, Black Mage, that's actually really good, if you know how Black Belts work. And even if you don't. Again, anything based, like around Fighter, White Mage, Black Mage probably is gonna be fine. And you could swap that out for Fighter and 2 Red Mages, and do reasonably well. Here's our Opal Bracelet upgrade. So that's gonna go, slip that on you. That's looking better. And I'm thinking about grabbing a bunch of the night gear here just to sell. I may not need to, though. Like, a lot of these opal items will sell for about 5,000 gold. But it might be better just to grab the one opal armor on the previous floor, which is like 25,000 gold, rather than a whole bunch of small stuff. There's the helmet. That'll be the shield. So we don't really need caps at all. They're 1 defense. And there is the slab. So only thing left to be an opal shield, and that's all the way in the corner. So I will leave you alone. I got 47,000 cash. More than enough to get the job done. And also, if there's any chance I can avoid the water encounter, I would like to do that. So I'm gonna see if I can sneak out rather than grab opal armor. Hey, Player One Number One, thank you very much for subscribing. Glad that you've been enjoying the show and hope you enjoy. The emotes arriving shortly as well. I just got a really good water encounter, so this is all I'll take. I do not mind having that. Could have been up to 3 waters though, which is actually a little bit dangerous because it can do like 100 damage a hit. Easily able to gang up on somebody and kill them in 1 round. Final Fantasy I support group. For all of your traumatic Final Fantasy I experiences. Like not using ribbons, that would be traumatic. The ribbon is just such an amazing change to how the game plays. If you don't have that, it's going to hurt a lot in Temple of Fiends. Still makes me upset they only put 3 ribbons in instead of having a 4th one. That one decision just makes such a huge difference to how the game plays, because it really makes it tough to have a viable 4-character party. Like in terms of usage. You can maybe get away with a knight without a ribbon, but that's almost never what somebody is going to decide to do. Other items that are more absorbed than Proring. Proring is actually the best one. Opal Gauntlet is tied with it. So if you went like all Opal on the Knights, hopefully you had a ribbon, but you were at least equal on defense. And then everything else was worse. So like Silver Gauntlet and Power Glove were both 6 defense, which is 2 less. Agent Zeus. And we just have a whole bunch of really good encounters on this floor. I never really appreciated how good the Sea Shrine was for grinding at this point. Usually just here to go in and out really quickly. You can pick up a couple of the Gershark battles in speedruns. Each Gershark at 0.9 of an Agama. It's a reasonably good fight. They're slightly slower than Agamas, but much more conveniently located to go and grab a few. Oh yeah, Gasties are just awful. That poison damage is so profoundly bad, even with high levels and a decent chance of actually just resisting straight up. They're still doing enough that it is tough to have sufficient resources for healing in Temple of Fiends unless you actually have a White Wizard. If you've got Cure 4s and Heal 3s, then you're going to be fine. But almost every other character class is not going to be able to bring enough healing through there. That's really where they need it, like a high potion or an X potion, something to replace the original 30 HP recovery item late in the game. Like, I would take a 100 HP high potion as an upgrade. Just get a second stack of 99 of those, and that would make such a huge difference for survivability. You could make almost any character class combination work very easily through Temple of Fiends if you had that, other than the boss fights. Yeah, 2 Fighters 2 Red Mages is one of the classic speedrunning parties. Red Mage is probably the best character class for the first 25 or so levels of the game. They don't really hold up that well because once you get past a certain point, they're not getting any better equipment. Like, they top out very early for both weapons and armor for their potential. And their spell options, I mean, they're good for the buffs, but you can only go so far with like the second, even the third tier spells in terms of damage. Like, you can't really, with 1 or 2 casts, do much against the late game monsters. That's like a general problem though in this game, that they're pretty hostile towards spell casting in the late game. You don't have enough spells per day in order to be able to make it through the longer dungeons, and so you pretty much have to have some melee orientation to your party. Whether it's that knight, or if you know how to use the black belts effectively, but just somebody that can take care of like 2/3 of the encounters on their own. High potions, but not in battle. I wouldn't really think that you even need to restrict it that much. 100 points of healing is like on the low end of like a Cure 3. And while that would be really big right now, you know, when you only have 250 health, when you're talking about like the real late game, and you got a knight or a black belt with 600 hit points, and the monsters are doing 100 damage a hit, that would be pretty well balanced for those situations. Like, it might be an item that you wouldn't get until like Lufania or something. But you'd really want to just like have that option available. Alright, there's our quick little sea shrine grind. And the nice thing is Waterfall, you can go in pretty much any point in the encounter cycle. There's really very little difference for any particular spot, and up until you get about 120 battles in. Because around 128 on your battle list, that is when you'll first start seeing the rare Group 8 encounters. And in Waterfall, that would be a Ghasty wandering around, the only place you can get them prior to Temple of Fiends. And they are very mean. Hey, KO240, welcome in. We have indeed required some leisure wear. Be warned for the rest of the game. The 4 ninjas will have really not much of a problem for this next stretch once they get all of their gear in place. That's such a huge jump up in power that it dramatically simplifies how the rest of the game will go. It's like we'll do some preparations here and then be pretty set for plugging away at our levels and at our fiends until the game is over. Just so much less stressful than the 4 Thieves. Yeah, they're pretty similar to like a plain fighter. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've had Thieves, saying you're allowed to get a fighter on your team is a really big deal. Also, these heal potion shopping's not going to be ideal doing that way. I think what we'll do is sell off our unnecessary gear, which might just end up being a motivation to waste money on a gold bracelet, even though it's a temporary rental. It would help out for a little while, and then I will go do Waterfall, pick up the defense sword, the ribbon, see if we could do a little tiny bit of farming on the Waterfall trap tile. The Wiz Mummy fight, if you've got enough AoE items, goes pretty well, and that's a fairly lucrative encounter. The nice thing about it is that you just trigger it over and over again. You don't have to do any walking back and forth, which saves you a lot of time when grinding. Fighter that can cast fast, they're not quite that good, but that's one of the things that really helps out. They're a fighter with a lot less HP that can cast fast. And that's kind of important because non-elemental abilities, or if you're forced to go without a ribbon on them, they're just not going to be able to survive it like a fighter can. But the fasts hopefully is going to make up for it by letting the fights go by quicker than they would otherwise. Alright, there's the opal bracelet, the extra silver bracelet, or opal armor, opal helmet, silver bracelet. And you have an opal gauntlet we can sell as well. Wonderful. Unnecessary items have been pawned at Melmond. And we have done our slab. Just got Fan the Wolfman back for 13 months. Fan, welcome in. And hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day here. And thank you very much for the continued support. Also, does Black Belt Magic Defense cut down elemental damage? Yes. So Magic Defense works on pretty much any non-attack roll. So applying touch attacks for like statuses. Really helpful to have that Magic Defense. Like you won't get hit by the Sorcerer Death Touch all that often, even though you don't technically have elemental resistance to it. Your Magic Defense does get a roll on it. And all of the spells that offer you a roll, which is every damage spell and almost all of the instant death or status spells, will give you a chance to avoid a critical hit. And for damage spells, that means that they get one roll instead of 2 of the damage amount. And for the status and instant death one, it's just whether they apply or not. So it's like having half resistance or full resistance depending on the spell type there. Hey Mike, our thieves got lost. Now they are getting ready for bed with their cute little red pajamas. And we are going around and picking up a whole bunch of useful upgrades and new gear. To refill the heal potion, I'm going to get the Ice 2 spells and the fast spells, which will pretty much be it. I don't think it's worthwhile having, Fire 1, Lit 1, Ice 1. You're never going to use it. Temper, of course, doesn't work. Otherwise, this would be so much easier. If you had 4 ninjas and they had Temper in addition to Fast, you could save yourself a whole bunch of leveling on getting ready for Temple of Fiends. There's our heal potion shopping done for now. We'll get to do even more heal potion shopping once Temple of Fiends is coming in, as well as Gurgur Volcano, for the 2 places that suck them dry in a hurry. What level is a black belt better or equal to a ribbon? It's a different type of thing. So a black belt's magic defense check applies to everything, including non-elemental. Whereas a ribbon is a guarantee that every single check will fail, unless they have a critical hit, which is 3 out of 256, or it's non-elemental. So the ribbon is so much more effective, always. Except for some of the things where it doesn't affect it at all. Like, you never get to a point with your black belt magic defense where it beats out the ribbon in terms of, are you going to resist a fire spell? But like death touch attacks, for the sorcerers, you'll never have the ribbon do anything to them. And that's kind of where the balance exists between the two. I would almost always rather have a black belt with ribbon on, assuming that you want to actually have their other gear. Which, until you are like level 35 or 40, you come out ahead with the black belt being wearing like a gold bracelet and pro ring than going naked anyway. So you have 50k left? Yeah. So we get 1 more gold bracelet here. Which is, of course, a temporary rental, but one that is well-deserved. So sell that off. Grab that for you. Yeah, looks good. Okay. I mostly have a plan here. We're going to start with getting the entry to Mirage Tower opened up. Black belt takes less for nuke, yes. That's one where you especially notice it. Since nuke is 100 to 400 damage, if you're in that 100 to 200 range, it's really a big deal for damage reduction. And you'll notice that black belt is significantly better at taking those low rolls. Like, you're kind of ecstatic when somebody besides a black belt gets a resist check to be successful, because it very rarely happens. Resistance is the wrong way to think about it. Just because it doesn't quite align with like elements or anything. But effectively, elemental resistance and having resistance from your check being applied for magic defense, at the end of the day, gets you the same result. There are 2 different paths that will get you the same thing, and they don't stack in any way. It's like if you have elemental resistance and you also have a magic defense check that's high enough, you don't get anything additional in benefit compared to having only one of the 2 pass. Nice sample group. That's some good experience. And one of the big reasons why I didn't want to do very much leveling prior to this point is just how much more effective you are at getting XP now. We are talking like 100 times faster than we were back doing that ogre grind. And even compared to like the giant grind, or doing the stuff at Crescent Lake, we're probably somewhere like 5 to 8 times faster than that. Hey there, Greffrey, welcome in. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope you are ready for our 4 ninjas to kick back. Ninjas may not actually kick, but they do have coral swords that they like to show off. I'm glad somebody got the reference. Three Ninjas Kick Back is actually a game that came out both on the Super Nintendo and on the Genesis, I believe. And they both were pretty awful. Level 16 picked up there. 15 was the earliest possible point at which you could get a spell slot for ninja, so we will get 15, 17, 19, and 21 for our slots here. And although we plan to go well past level 21 for Temple of Fiends, it will be at least nice to have our spells available as early as possible. That'll be very handy for any grinding that we want to do to supplement our current list of items. Ooh, Rankelos. Good thing we got a first strike. That would have been a bad fight otherwise. And into Mirage Tower we go. So let's see, what is our plan gonna be? I think we want to do second floor first, because we'll get another AoE item here as well as the Sun Sword. Then we'll go back down to first floor. There is, and I hesitate to mention this, the possibility of getting a Vorpal Sword for this team. We would only do it for humorous purposes, but it is something that would technically be an upgrade right now. Why would we get it? Well, we don't do a lot of damage with our current weapons. And so going from no damage to 1 damage would be an improvement. Ooh, the cat claw is tempting. Fortunately, I am unable to afford those, so I do have a legitimate excuse as to why we will not be getting cat claws. These vampires may give me enough money to buy a cat claw, but I will throw that money under the couch. Oh, Dan. What a Dan-like thing right there. Alright, so we lost our Dan. This is going to reduce the value of any grinding that we could be getting done here. We should also move the mage, or move the light axe up to you. So now we're in here just to grab and not bother with the encounters. You could keep fighting without Dan, but until we get a little bit further in, I don't want to pick which of our mages. We decide to sacrifice. Hey, Losackle, 6 hours to Beholder is actually really good. I was very happy that we managed to kind of push through the Earth Cave portion without having to do a lot of extra grinding. That was my really big worry, was the Lich section. Once you get past Lich, especially with class change allowed, it is an entirely different experience to how the rest of the game goes. There's our Sun Sword upgrade. So that'll replace the Dragon Sword for our list. And I probably shouldn't grab all this stuff. We don't really need the money. But now we got the Thor Hammer, which will be our other big find here. So now we got another lightning weapon. Probably a higher priority over the light axe for sure. Speed of which, light axe. That beats out the coral sword for damage. There we go. We can get rid of dragon and coral now. Goodbye, our old friends. You will not be needed. Also, never needed this power staff. Forgot I never sold that back, and again, money no longer important, so that can go. So Sun Ice light axe for right now. Dragon Mail will fuel a whole bunch of purchases for houses. Alright, I think we got a good setup here. Also with Dan down, I feel really good about doing the Sky Castle portion. So we're going to leave the black shirt, ribbon, pro cape behind for a little bit. Well, actually, you kind of want to get, since the Ice 2 is really nice to have. Things like this fight. Having Ice is very effective to mow stuff down. Cerberuses, Chimeras, Water Elementals. There's a bunch of things that are weak to Ice overall. Hey, T. Murdoch. Dan and company are doing their best here. Well, Dan's taking a nap. The company is doing its best in the meantime. Well, Neep's fine. And yeah, I'm really happy about class change. Doing this without class change is so many more hours. Specifically for Temple of Fiends. Like, you can reasonably do the other fights surprisingly well. Like, you grab some supplies to get things prepared, and it's kind of neat how readily some areas go much more than you would think. Like being able to white shirt during carry or kraken by doing the dungeons out of order. Makes just a really big difference for the outcome of those. Also curious how we ended up with Julie not having any AoEs to use. We should have Mage, Thor, Zeus, and Light Axe right now, so everybody should have one. Probably Neep's Thor hammer. That's the one to swap. There we go. It's okay, Julie. Just put your name on it next time. We don't want to get these mixed up after all. And then back on first floor. Vampire Guard. Not the best fights, but we can grab them. Yeah, Thor Hammer is one of the big things from here. I don't use the Sun Sword as much directly. Simply because there's not a lot of opportunities for the ninjas to really go big on single target monsters for a lot of this. But you get really, really large amounts of value out of anything AoE. Is the Vorpal Sword. Got our first heal helmet as well. I'll probably only keep the one heal helmet, as much as I do want to have some heal grinds in Temple of Fiends possible. Heal helmet plus heal staff probably is my best setup for that, because I don't want to free up another space. Definitely not going to get heal helmet over ribbon for anybody that has that choice available. And to get an alternative, you would need to probably get rid of your Pro Cape user's slot. Oh, come on. Stun lock by guards. This is rude. We lost Julie. I don't know how these guys are doing so much damage. Alright, Serve's up. Let's try and run. Get us out of here, Serve. No, we're paralyzed again. Alright, slot 3. Lightning it is. Come on, Neep. And so the Thieves have let us down. Gonna have to try Mirage Tower again. And this is what happens when you don't have a Dan. Everything goes crazy. If you do have a Dan, it goes even worse. It goes even worse, Go 240. Hey, Dowsing Mouse. What are we up to? Well, we are up to some burglaries. We're trying to grab all of the gear that is going to help us out in the late game, mostly looking for AoE items and some improvements to our armor situation. We can pretty quickly get a lot of nice stuff here. Like, we've already done Top of Sea Shrine. We're trying to get Mirage Tower done. And I'm going to go back and hit the Ice Cave for the Ice Mail, Waterfall for Defense, Sword, and Ribbon, and we'll do Gurgur Volcano for Flame Shield and Flame Mail as well. At that point, we'll pretty much have everything that is immediately useful. We'll want to get the black shirt and the white shirt at some point. White shirt mostly for just before Temple of Fiend starts. You can maybe argue white shirt's pretty nice to have versus Tiamat and Kraken. I think we can do those two fights without them. This time let's try to do a little bit more defensively for our pickups. I'm going to spend less time walking around and just grab the bare minimum. We can make do with the cash that we've got, so selling things is not that big of a priority. Yum Brad, thank you very much for gifting a bunch of subs there. I hope everybody that got one of those is going to enjoy the emotes here, and Yum Brad, thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. We're going to be having a wonderful, wonderful time. We're going to put the light axe on you, Thor hammer, and then get rid of power. I'll get rid of the rune, and armor-wise, those all look good. If we sell anything, it'll be the dragon mail. There's our sun sword upgrade. Just gotta place that. Services and their massive ambush rate. They're one of the more annoying monsters in here. The other big monster that has a high ambush rate, joyously enough, is of course Warmech at 75%. He knows how to party. Okay, so we got everything there. That completes that stretch. Okay, looks good. Then we're gonna grab heal helmets. And yes, we will get the Vorpal sword from downstairs as well. This time I'm gonna save him between the two parts. Hey, Zaytoriak, welcome in. I hope your day has been going well. I hope you're prepared for the fourth Thief experience, now in 3D. Are you in the Castlevania 25X race? How did that go? I was watching JC when they were about like 17 or 18 in on the loops through. I am curious to know how the outcome turned out for that. And as far as Four Thieves, well, we, as of yesterday, had finished up a Lich. And then so far today, we've done Ordeals, Ice Cave, and we started to grab a whole bunch of items now that we've got access to the airship. We've done Top of Sea Shrine. Almost have got Mirage Tower done. We're going to be doing Waterfall and a couple of pickups after this. I may do a decent chunk of Gurgu as well. I'm not certain if I'm going to do an Agile grind. We probably have better places to get experience with this team, especially once you have enough AoE items. I am not certain if the Agmas are in fact your best grind spot overall. Alright, this time, take the save outside. That's better. 5 hours, 45 minutes. That is a lot of Castlevania. I mean, just like the consistency is kind of impressive for what you have to do for something like that. It's one thing to be able to get a good time in a game, but to do it over and over again is really, really tough. Like anything that you're doing that's risky, or that could potentially be a big time loss or a reset if you don't get it, suddenly all of those things are very big liabilities when you need to get a certain number of completions. So it's a neat little format that I really, really enjoy watching for games that are in like the 10 or 15 minute range. See people do it with like Super Mario Bros. 1 as well, which is another great trade-off between, do you go as fast as possible and go for like sub 5 minute times, or do you take it a little bit safer and go like 5.5 minutes? I think with pretty much perfect play, going with like the Fire Flower strats, like around 510. This is very respectable for a time. Any seafood platter ones? I am not certain if the Sea Shrine Pile of Pain is going to be great for this team, but it is one that I am thinking about as a potential option for a grind spot. Okay, Purple Sword's going to replace the Dragon Sword, and with that, everybody's got a weapon upgrade at least. Heal Helmet is probably going to be on you for a lot of the game. And I'd rather have Zeus in my first slot, so go like that. Actually, no. Probably at the start, Heal Helmet's going to be on you. I want the Heal Helmet to be towards the back so that the person that doesn't have a ribbon is going to be hopefully not targeted all that often. In the final Temple of Fiends stretch, though, Heal Helmet is going to go to pretty much our sacrificial character. Like, somebody is going to be expected to die at some point. And with no revives, it may not be productive going to great lengths to keep them alive. And so you just want to be as productive as possible for what they can do along the way. It's better. Is it just like it sounds in red? Yes. So these type of races are to do a certain number of completions of a game. And there's kind of strategies on like endurance versus speed. Like, are you going to do things that make it very difficult on yourself to keep consistently executing time and again? And then also strategy-wise on what is going to be your safest average time performance, as opposed to necessarily trying to get the best possible time on any individual run. And it's a lot more interesting to talk about what is a typical run with these strategies going to be like. $13.20 per Castlevania completion is really good. Yeah, I definitely agree that that is an impressive feat for speeding through those. Okay, we have one more gold bracelet to pick up. Let me go do that. Intentionally not getting the 4th pro ring, although maybe I should. No, I don't think we need to. We'll have ribbon on that slot. And the Zeus Gauntlet's gonna last a long time. I could always pick up a pro ring right at the very end once we've decided we've got enough levels. That'll be the ideal time to switch it out. Inventory management's just so tough with this game, having very limited slots on things. Right, Dragon Mail sold. Weapon-wise, we decided not to sell anything. Alright, so that looks good. Over back to our waterfall. Where thanks to the Thor hammer, we can reasonably now do a bit of a whiz-bumping grind. We don't have the warp spell, so it can be a little bit dangerous. Or possibly a lot dangerous on how those encounters might go. But while we're at the trap tile, you might as well at least try and grab some of the fights. So we've got a nice stack of soft potions. People that get petrified by the cockatrices. We'll also put our ribbon user up front to hopefully reduce the number of times that happens. Even if you got all 3 ribbons, you're still going to have, every once in a while, a petrification sneak through on a critical hit, or just the 4th person get targeted, and have it get through that way as well. Looks good, and let's go in. Right now, these things are actually surprisingly dangerous from all of the sleep touches on the regular mummies. And if we had the ice scare on everybody, we'd be in a slightly better shape. In fact, I should probably put ice shield on whoever was going to be up front, which right now is going to be Dan. Oh, he does have the ice shield. What convenient luck that it's already in place. And that'll get swapped out once we've got the ribbon. So we've got 2 people that are covered. We also, if we are so fortunate, may have another thing that takes place during this waterfall trip, and that would be if we could potentially see an out-of-bounds bat sighting. I am certainly crossing my fingers that we will get a great opportunity to wave to our bat friend, but no promises. Out-of-bounds bat may be reluctant to appear in front of 4 thieves after all, and I wouldn't blame him. Even this smaller Wizmummy group with only one Wizmummy showing up ends up totaling about 1 Agma worth of experience, which as of right now is still decent for the team. You could easily do Agmas up to level 18 if you were wanting to be aggressively going after them for a 4-character party. And for a solo fight, Agma is surprisingly good. Like if you're trying to level up like a solo black belt or a solo knight, and you don't want to take the risk of doing like an eye grind or something like that, Agma is one of your few single target, really high value, very low danger encounters. Plus you have a nice, easy way to escape afterwards. Which means that you don't have to worry about losing the experience. Come on, Out of Bat, are you here? No, he's not here. Shame. Shame and scorn. For those that did not believe in Out of Bounds Bat, which may have been Tipo01. Tipo, welcome in, but I must know. Did you drive our Out of Bounds Bat away? And hope you had a wonderful time with your stream tonight. No promises. I am sure the truth will come out eventually. Well, tonight, we've got probably at least about another hour or so of our 4th Thief playthrough before switching over to Final Fantasy VII. I would like to get my hands on all of our gear by the time that we do the wrap-up. So that seems like a reasonable proposition, given our pace here so far. Alright, that's gonna go there. Yeah, I think it makes sense to have heal element on 2nd slot. At least for right now, they'll continue to get passed down as we get more and more ribbons for the team. And finally, we've got the defense sword. So, with that, gotta say, Vorpal sword looking pretty weak. Defense is the best of our 4 swords right now, I believe. Might be Sun Sword, depending on what our attack rating looks like. But one of the two is going to be on top. Yeah, I will do this, and we'll let Julie struggle with that Vorpal sword for a while longer. Purely for amusement purposes. But amusement is what this party is all about after all. Hey, Wolf and Josh. It is going well. We managed to get all of our class change requirements out of the way today. And so now the game is very dramatically different. Having our ninjas that can use much, much better gear overall. And that will speed things up quite a bit. We'll also have, as the other big advantage for Temple of Fiends, besides those wonderful weapons and armor pieces, the important fast spell, which makes such a huge difference on the boss fights. Fast is really what makes the 4 Fiends in Chaos go from being extremely unpredictable, like whether you're even going to survive any of the encounters, to you may lose somebody, but you're pretty certain you're at least gonna get to Chaos on a trip down. Dan is stoned again, right through the ribbon. I've never used the light axe as a weapon. Light axe, it's about the same value as like the flame sword for damage. It's actually surprisingly good. Maybe not as nice for accuracy, so you might get your additional attack per round a little bit slower, but I used to think it was like silver sword level, and it's actually 1 tier higher than that in terms of the value overall, so it's pretty respectable. I've been using Light Axe a lot more often in Randomizer as well, for like a fighter weapon. If that's all you got early, it's still a pretty decent tool to have in your toolbox to pull out. And the adversary. At one point we had 4 thieves. We started with 4. I can make no promises as to where we will end up with them. Use Light Axe a lot for grinding vanilla. Yeah, if you're doing like the vampires in Mirage, or these mummies here, there's a few good undead fights. Undead kind of doesn't really have great opportunities in a lot of areas of the game. Like, they start off being really plentiful, and one of your big strategies early on is like, Peninsula Power, or similar areas at the beginning of the game where there's lots of undead and they're easy to kill with Harm 1 or Harm 2. But they don't give you areas that are nearly as good for that in the late game. Like, maybe you can get some zombie Ds or go after vampires, but those are like very specific encounters that tend to be surrounded by lots of other bad stuff that makes it tough to kind of focus on them. Hey, King Booty. An hour from now we'll be doing Final Fantasy VII, so we've got a lot of stream left. You may not make the 4 Thieves, but you will definitely make the Adventures of Dan at some point tonight. Mage Thor Zeus, yeah, like that's like the real combo, that's great. Throw a black shirt in there as well, and you've got a pretty effective little bit of damage for almost every situation in Mirage. That's one of my go-to combos for like white mages or other characters that don't have a lot of innate damage dealing ability, is to kind of seek out areas where like 4 of those second tier spells just barely is enough to win. That way you're kind of maximizing your enemy difficulty level for each of the encounters and just go to town on them. It's unfortunate that you don't really have anything that kind of keeps going past there. Like, once you're into Temple of Fiends, those second tier spells just are not enough to realistically be able to grind with. One of the nice things about this spot is we're using the door to the back, so don't have to worry about taking any off-tile encounters. Those are free steps in both directions. Everybody applaud it. Here's level 18. So we're coming up pretty soon on our 3rd spell charge on these thieves. See if the value's like 12,000 to get to the next level. We'll be doing, let's see, on average, an Agam and a half here, which is about 1,000 damage per fight, is what we should budget for. So right now, about 12 battles per level up. Eventually, the game does kind of flatten out its curve for experience growth. So like for a long time, levels get more and more expensive. But once you're into the high 20s, that actually stops. And it flattens out around 30,000 experience or so. And it's completely, well, not completely, like it bounces up and down for very small amounts for some reason. Like it'll go up and down like 100 experience points per level. But we basically flat all the way to 50 at that point. Yeah, usually I like the black shirt as well, Wolf and Josh. Mainly because you got a lot more versatility. Downside of a party like this, though, is that you really want to use all of your armor slots up. And so you got to give something up in order to fit in the black shirt and the white shirt. So I'm trying to be kind of strategic about when I kind of flip over between the different types of areas that we go to and the grinding that we do, to make certain that we don't ever kind of get into a situation where it's tough to undo one of those choices. Like at some point the Zeus Gauntlet's gonna have to go. At some point the black shirt's gonna have to go. And if it was a slightly different feed order, you could probably get away without the white shirt. Because you really just need that for Kraken and Tiamat. And you can do Lich, Chaos, and likely Carry without the additional evade. It just doesn't line up because you can get the Pro Cape on Carry's floor, and that is too early to do the swap out. Let's see, 50 heal potions left. That's actually doing pretty good. You're cruising through here smoother than I expected. It's like maybe 2 or 3 heal potions worth of damage per fight. So per stack of 99, you could probably get 3 levels right now before you have to go back out. That's really what like your limiting factor for a lot of this stuff is sustainability. Like how long can you keep some of these up? That's why Agamas can be really, really good. Even if you're getting slightly less experience per fight, just their low damage makes it very economical for doing extended farming on them. Hey there, Demon Guns. What's going on? Well, 4 Thieves is what's going on. This is by far the worst combination of characters you could have in the original Final Fantasy. And a lot of it is the early game. That's tough to get through. Once you can class change, this is not quite as good as 4 fighters, but it's pretty close in terms of their effectiveness. Like, it's 4 fighters with less HP, but with a fast spell, so those factors may or may not cancel out for you. But the first half of the game is really tough. Thieves have basically no equipment they can use. They've got no special abilities. And so almost every one of the bosses is a really big roadblock, starting with Marsh Cave Wizards, then Astos, Lich. It is really, really tough to get through those, and they're also very ineffective at any type of grinding early game. Heal them for the free heals. We have a heal helmet and a heal staff, but that would mean that we're not actually killing things in one round. And I would rather kill faster and buy heal potions. At least in these circumstances, we're not going to be doing all of our leveling here in one shot. It's going to be split up into many small pieces so that we can go off and do the rest of our item acquisition. I still want to pick up the Ice Mail, Flame Mail, Flame Shield. Probably the second Ice Sword pretty soon as well. Dark Slash, thank you very much for the raid there. And hope you had a wonderful stream. And welcome into all joining us here for our 4 Thief adventure. We have thankfully managed to get past class change, which is one of your really big celebrations for Four Thieves. We've done it without class change as well, and it is a much, much tougher finish. But Four Ninjas is a not good party, but at least better than what you started with overall, so you can finally stretch out a bit and get a decent bit of progress going. Hey, thanks, Dark Slash. What were you streaming today? And I will guarantee it probably was better than this. Oh, Final Fantasy VI Randomizer. That's had a real resurgence lately. Final Fantasy VI Randomizer actually was one of the earlier ones that was created, because there had been a bunch of mods of Final Fantasy VI in the past. So they already had like all of the tools and a lot of the ability to generate new versions of the game. But it seemed like it was relatively late that I saw a large number of people pick it up, and I've recently been seeing a bunch of races of Final Fantasy VI Randomizer, which was something that, up until now, was not all that common. Yeah, the Beyond Chaos Randomizer for it is the name if you want to search out the version that everybody's using now. It's a pretty fun randomizer, but it does require that you have good familiarity with a lot of Final Fantasy VI locations. So one of the things that it exercises is being able to go off to many of the areas that are not seen in typical playthroughs and be able to check them relatively quickly. And that's actually some of the things that I like about what I'll call more of the simpler randomizers. Like Final Fantasy 1 is right at like the maximum level of complexity for somebody to easily pick up and learn where all the chest locations are and how to navigate around. And some of the games that are smaller, like Dragon Warrior 1, or even to some extent like the original Zelda, because they've got fewer locations, it's a little bit more accessible for somebody to know, like, this is everything that you could potentially be asked to do. And be able to kind of try through all the combinations and figure out how to solve the randomizer puzzle. But at a certain degree of difficulty, it becomes harder and harder to get a new person through it. One of the things Final Fantasy IV did to avoid that was make it so that the value of the chest was kind of low. And while there is the occasional high-value chest that's guarded, it's a small list of ones that you need to remember the locations of, as opposed to like every single chest in the game. Ocarina of Time. Yeah, that's a challenging one because of the puzzles. Especially if you've got the ability to include in the logic all of the skips of Ocarina of Time that are used in speedrunning. Because many of the places in the game can be gotten to not with the intended sequence of items, but by doing specific tricks to get into areas early. Those are like super hard at that point for like complexity of routing and what you're potentially asked to do. Like Link to the Past has something similar, but it tends to have a couple of different game logic options where you can decide how aggressive you need to be at knowing all the tricks in order to be able to get things. And Link to the Past Randomizer, most people will actually play it with pretty much the no major glitches kind of setting where you're not expected to be able to do almost any of the early skips or the ability to bypass a lot of the requirements. I think those make the randomizer much more accessible than if you had like everything wide open and said just like get there however you can. Oh yeah, Crystal's Randomizer would be pretty good. That's another game that doesn't have a really ridiculous number of chests. It's got some complex maze-like areas that you have to kind of probably use some maps for to help you out. But usually like a lot of the dungeons have, you know, maybe 4 or 6 items. So it wouldn't be incredibly difficult to be able to kind of figure out where things are by brute force if you had to. Solar Axis, telling lies like that is how you end up with virtual highlight for Christmas in your stocking. I've got enough naughty people around here. There will be some virtual highlight this weekend, by the way. We're going to be doing a spooky virtual highlight Halloween night on Saturday. It will indeed be the scariest thing on Twitch for at least several hours. Guardian Legend Randomizer. I don't think I've ever seen Guardian Legend randomized. Like, I can imagine that the mechanics for that would work, but I don't know if I've ever run across somebody that has a randomizer for it. And Super Mario Brothers and Mega Man both have level generation randomizers, which was kind of surprising that that would ever get to be a realistic thing. Initially, randomizers were pretty much limited to just the RPGs or action RPGs, and they've gotten a lot more broadly applicable as people come up with interesting techniques to like glue together pre-cut pieces of levels. I think Mega Man 2 does that particularly well. The Mario ones I've seen that I've enjoyed have been more like randomized level order. Like there's an SMB3 one that is pretty good for randomization. It also takes away some of the annoying auto-scrollers that the second half of SMB3 is plagued with. I want to check my leveling progress after this and see if we're on a good pace to wrap things up pretty soon, so I can start grabbing the rest of my items. Must be about halfway to 2/3 of the way through level 20. I'm trying to think about where the good breakpoints are. I think most of the ninja breakpoints for weapons are in the mid to high 20s, so probably not going to be able to grab those in one shot. And then for some reason, ninjas or thieves, because the stat growth is the same between the two classes. I was kind of thinking about what my final level is going to be like. And for some reason, like level 35 to 41 is just ridiculously good for their stats. Like, they have a whole bunch of strength points all of a sudden, when most classes are going to have, like, nothing at those levels. Many of the classes, like, after level 35 or so, you basically get very minimal stat gain. And the Thief just dumps in a whole bunch of points. And strength is particularly a good stat for us, since we're going to need to be sorting very hard all the bosses. And I'm thinking Mazmune plus level 42 or so may be my target. Twilight Princess. I'm trying to remember how much of that game was relatively open to exploration. Because by that point, the Zeldas were fairly linear for long stretches. And I know Twilight Princess was kind of like in between, where it still had some of the design aspects of the N64 3D Zeldas before they moved to like the more on-rail style for like Skyward Sword. Similar to Final Fantasy 1, so like starts off very linear but then opens up a bit. That's kind of what I remember about it. Like, I don't remember where Twilight Princess had its nice burst of freedom of exploration, but I kind of remember, like, the first couple hours was very guided in that game. Tetris Randomizer, randomized block shapes. One of your block is now at a 33-degree angle. Good luck. Alright, there's our level 20 starting. 21 we get us our 4th spell slot, but that is relatively unimportant for this group. They're not going to be really big on their spells, other than potentially some grind locations where they will very slowly trickle out. Some Ice 2s strategically, or for Temple of Fiends. We'll be using a whole bunch of fast spells to get us through the bosses quickly. We have just enough fast spells to get like 2 people fasted like all the time. So we'll be unable to consistently fast everybody, which was my kind of original thinking of like, what would our damage output be with, you know, 2 fasted katanas, fasted sun sword, fasted defense sword. And in reality, you probably just have the katanas. What's the level goal in this grind? We are about to hit it. Level 20 on everybody. Here's where I want to go here. We have level 20 on 3 people right now. This might be it. There we go. Julie's got 20. Excellent. So some of the things about level 20. This is right around where we have finally cracked the 300 hit point mark, which we don't necessarily care about for X66X, but it is a useful mark for survival in terms of monsters doing 100 plus damage per hit. We would like to not die in 2 hits to things like the vampires or water elementals. And it's also a nice mark for getting more progress on our attacks per round. And you'll start seeing that we'll be switching from 2 attacks to 3 attacks right around here. And then a big chunky jump up to 4 attacks will take a while. And that'll be where most of the weapons are going to end up with in the very late game. For the most part, Thief is going to top out at 4 attacks per round, except for the Masmian at 5. How are we doing on hitting nightmares now? Before this would have been pretty tough. Yeah, it's looking a bit better. Got 7 out of our, I think, 9 attacks to land. It's about a 10% improvement to our hit rate from when we were doing our earlier trip through Mirage. I know 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but your hit rate is actually part of a bigger formula, so it's not the true hit percentage. And you're kind of looking for some of the breakpoints and where you kind of push over the monster from that 80 or 90% success rate up to 100%. Wonderful, we are free of the waterfall for now. Waterfall remains a really good grind spot. That one trap tile there is amazingly good. And there's a second copy in the Sea Shrine, but it's a pretty inconvenient location to grind at. Waterfall at least has a shorter walk in and out for each time that you need to cycle through there. But for now, we are done, and we can think about next steps. Do I want to redo the ice cave here and grab the ice mill, or do I want to go onto Gurgu? I kind of want to finish ice cave totally off, so think about it again. We also have ribbon at bottom of Sea Shrine, which would be really good to pick up. But if you're doing that, you might as well take Kraken out in the same trip, and we're not quite ready for that. And then Gurgu, get Ice Sword, Flame Mail, Flame Shield. But again, you probably want to take Carry On. We can likely do that. It would be, I wouldn't even say moderately dangerous. It'd be fairly low danger at this point. That could be a reasonable task here. Let's go. And step 1 is refilling our heal potion pot. I probably don't need the wizard staff. If we actually need that for carry, things have gone horribly wrong. So I'm gonna get rid of that. Heal staff. I'm gonna put on Neat for right now. Yeah, make sure you don't have the heal helmet as your item. Okay, that looks good. If we're gonna do everything this way, then I think another one to do is give you Zeus Gauntlet to pair with your ribbon. So you actually should do that. Alright, better. Things are looking better. It's also looking like we've got ridiculous amounts of money. Undead are very lucrative because they give you usually 1 gold point per experience point. It's a fairly favorable ratio. A lot of stuff is 50 or 60% of your experience is also given in gold, so you get to really rock it up in cash, where you will probably never ever even come close to spending this much money in the game. much in 8.5 hours is buying heals? Surprisingly little. A lot of the early game we didn't need heal potions. Like I would tend a bunch in between like the ogre fights, but healing is actually really inefficient for when you're on the overworld. Like a 10 will give you a heal potion's worth of value to everybody in your party. It's only a small bit more expensive, and it's way faster. So you actually don't really use heal potions until you're doing like Marsh Cave. And yeah, you go through a bunch as you're getting the dungeons done, but way less than you'd think. If you rely on heal potions for the grind, then you're gonna have to come out and do this every once in a while, and that generally is a worse strategy than if you can find areas where you're taking very little damage on any given fight. Alright, Wolf and Josh, have a good night there. Thanks for dropping by, and pleasant dreams. For the rest of you, grab some coats because we've got the return of the Ice Cave, where we may also do a bonus bit of eyes. I don't technically need to do eye fights in here, but it might be fun. So we never get to do that as a regular thing. Just to see what it might look like. Our heal potions stocked. There's our ice entrance. And we'll still burn one encounter here to make the start of the ice cave go slightly better. How hard is it to program the NPCs to not block the exits? What the randomizer did was just make them not move. I think the second easiest way would be to murder them all and feed them to the bats. That would be my preferred way as well. Sending them to Melmon, that might be a little bit extreme. That may be too cruel for us to consider. I think we've got an encounter here come up, which we don't want to take on the third floor. So I will give this a little wiggle. This is one of the older ice cave routes, doing only one skip instead of two at the start. Now we can go. Alright, so Flame Shield not required. Or Flame Sword not required. Flame Shield we will be getting. You know what? I think we should probably kill this rather than risk a run failure. It's enough Wraith that I'm unlikely to get paralyzed too badly. Wraith and Image only has one attack per round, unlike Spectre and Geist, which have multiple attacks. So this group will do a lot of damage, but probably is not going to stun lock me too fast. And they're extremely, extremely flammable. Go ahead and murder the Frosty. I'd probably run if it was 2 Frosties. Because they like to do this. That blizzard really hurts. But we have acquired the ice mail. Alright, so we're gonna have... put ice mail on you, ice shield on you. At this point, that gold bracelet can go, and we will never need it back. Irony99, thank you very much for resubscribing. Back for 41 months, and I hope you enjoy. Many more in the future as well. Thank you again for all the support. And I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time here with our 4th Thief playthrough. How are we looking for an eye grind? Actually, really badly. Mage, Sorcerer, Mage, Mage are the encounters coming up upstairs. That seems less than ideal for options. So we have to wait at least for 3 fights if we want to do an eye grind. Hey, you know what? We've never done an eye grind before. I at least want to see what it's like. At least not in this version of the game. Definitely done some eye grinds in the remakes. Doing the eye fight is one of the better grind spots in like the GBA or any of the versions where you can save the game wherever you want, since that takes care of the problem of having to worry about, you know, what if you get hit by sorcerers or something on your off-tile encounter. And yes, I can keep track of what encounters are coming so I know when it's safe to jump through. We just need to make sure that we have an opening in terms of timing for it. Hey there, Nooster, welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day here. I used a physical attack. Why would you never do that in a real speedrun? Not once ever would you see that. It's very, very uncommon for him to physical. I can basically take 3 off-tile encounters before I have to leave. It gets dangerous here. So we'll see how this works out. What do I have for tracking encounters? I've got a couple of different things. I did make a spreadsheet a long time ago for all of the encounters and zones, and you can get the data from, I'm not sure if it's actually in the game mechanics guide, but certainly somewhere on GameFAQs there is the big table of all of the encounters per zone, and on Taz videos there is the tables for what the order of encounters is, and you can use that to figure out what the spreadsheet should look like. And then I also have stuff I've made for like planning out speedruns. I can use a lot of that on the fly. Oh, it's not really meant for doing these type of runs. It's at least a handy tool to have and a resource to look at. these fights. 1 1/3 Agamas apiece. Fairly lucrative fight and very, very fast. But takes a lot of setup going in and out to get, unless you've got warp or exit. It tends to be kind of a committed thing to go and do a grind like this, and you'll take every off step here 1 step closer to your next fight. So if you have, 25 steps to the next encounter and then 30 steps to the encounter after that and so on, you get somewhere around like 80 or so eyes that you can take. Which at this point in the game probably is like 3 levels. Later on it'll be about 2 levels. Is it time for the cat claws? Thankfully! This team will not need any cat claws. We do have a Vorpal sword though. I know that will excite some people. Right now we're doing defense, sun, ice, and Vorpal. Once we get up to Sky Castle, I'll be able to cycle some of these worse items out. Eventually it'll be 2 katanas, defense, and, well, the last one will be the Masmune, but until we get the Masmune, it'll be Sun Sword. $32,000 would be pretty excessive. We only get $3,200 for the eye. $3,225 is his experience in gold total. It's still really good. Again, that's 1 1/3 Agawa's worth of experience. And like 4 Agamas worth of cash. But you would need to kill 20 eyes per Kakla. Also a ridiculous 14 eyes per steel armor. This shows you how much of a ripoff those items are. Yeah, with the randomizer bonuses, it gets even easier for them. Like, if you're doing like 2x or 3x experience, especially once the level curve flattens out, you can get pretty quick leveling consistently. And that's what makes like pretty much every party combination possible in the randomizer. Like, if you get out of the early game, which sometimes is pretty tough, there is likely going to be somewhere you can go in the randomizer to get enough experience where you can very readily get your party members up to, like level 35 or 40, and at that point, you're going to deal with the game quite easily. This game was kind of meant to top out at level 30 or so, because you can feel like around level 25 they're pushing you to finish. Level 30, things have pretty much stopped growth, other than the black belts. All your other characters are not getting a lot of stats. There's no more equipment upgrades left. And then past level 35, it just gets so ridiculously easy that most of the encounters are pretty broken for balance. Level 50 or bust. I think 41 may be the highest reasonable level you need to worry about on a ninja. Maybe 42, I don't remember which of the two is where you get your final Masmune bonus hit. But like after this really weird clump of strength bonuses, from level 35 to 40, there's not a lot left for a ninja for advancement. You have, I think, one more strong level up at 45. You get like a couple points of strength, but nothing like really significant to swing things. And your vitality score is not really good enough that those levels make a big difference. Unlike Black Belt, who has ridiculous vitality. So even if they're not getting a strong level up, they're still getting, 20 hit points per level. The ninja's gotta be a little bit more subdued for their high level HP growth. And so they top out I think around 700 and some hit points at level 50 on average. Which is still pretty good. But gonna be nowhere close to max out unless you really are manipulating the level ups to get those vitality points to happen pretty much every time for your first 40 levels. Can a Black Belt break 1,000? So 999 is the max hit point total, and Black Belts are guaranteed to get there. Knights are guaranteed to get really close, and almost every Knight will hit 999, but I think they get the worst possible rolls. Would be around 900 hit points. Black Belts, if they weren't capped, would go to 12 or 1300, just on average. Right, there's our first off-step encounter. So we got 2 more of those before it gets dangerous. And probably by the point that we actually get that, we might be able to take mages. And so basically be able to eye grind indefinitely. I think if you had all your ribbons, you could actually pretty reasonably with this party do a true eye grind. We're starting to get to the point where we almost always one-shot them, or at worst two-shot them. So if you had better weapons, you'd be one-shotting almost 100%. Couple more points of strength as well. That Vorpal Sword, the one weak spot in our team. This might be an underrated grind spot for ninjas, black belts, and knights to think about. I think its biggest weakness is you can't really solo grind here. Which you can solo grind Agamas, because there's no instant death to worry about. It's you'll notice the eye is mostly using X66X, which we have a 100% chance of avoiding. It's not even a critical hit kind of situation. It's 100% guaranteed will not work. But the glance skill, which uses kind of occasionally like that, that's got a 3 and 256 for somebody wielding ribbon for it. So you have a skill you use maybe 1 out of 6 times, 1 out of 80 times is going to kill you. And so if you're doing that many eyes and die after 400 of them, you're gonna feel really bad. So you can't really do a perpetual grind, you have to at least take some safety saves. Plus the fact that you get sorcerers and other stuff here every once in a while also makes it kind of dangerous. Everybody applaud it. Here's level 22. So we're past the point of our spell slot development. 21 was our last spell slot. Everybody's got 4 casts of all of their spells now, which is just the Fire 2, Lit 2, Ice 2 trio, as well as the fast spell. Kind of a shame the lack of ninja spell options, although they do slightly better than the knights. who get Cure 1, Cure 2, and Ruse. As really there are only 3 usable ones. Faster party. We've got 16 fasts, so we probably can't actually fast everybody that often. But we can definitely fast 2 people consistently. So you got, you don't really need to worry about Phantom too much, I think. But you've got Lich, Carry, Kraken, Team Out, and Chaos. And you're probably going to lose one person, which if they have fast charges left over, then becomes a waste on usage there. So you'll try and like rotate them through quickly. So like they fast on, you know, Lich and Carry, and that's the person that doesn't have the ribbon on. And that way if you die at that point, you know, you only lost 2 charges instead of 4. But it kind of works out nicely that you can do 2 people fasted per fight. So most of the way through it's going to be probably your 2 katanas, and then for Chaos it's going to be 1 katana and 1 Mazmoon. Yeah, if you survived, you'd have 3, but I would not bank on it. The person without the ribbon, they're just going to take so much damage. Like, one thing you might viably do is just have them petrified at the start and drag their statue through to Chaos and use them just on the Chaos fight. You know, get a fast off there so you have a free one. Let them tank in the front or something, but like not even bother try and get them through the other battles with Team Up being so elemental oriented. And you're probably wanting to sneak people past Lich anyway, so that you don't have to do as many people for healing after the nuke. I could maybe see that as your most useful application of the 4th person. Kind of a shame that Tiamat is the elemental one, because it'd be really nice to have that 4th person to tank on Kraken, so the rest of your team is less likely to get trashed. But yeah, Black Belt would very easily break 1,000 hit points. I'm pretty sure you are guaranteed, even if you get the worst possible rolls on a Black Belt, to get 999 at like level 46 or something. Like several levels before 50. And that means on average you're probably getting 999 around like level 40 on a Black Belt. And have a really long time to get additional hit points past there. I haven't been keeping track of our account, but we should be coming up on our 2nd battle pretty soon. Which is going to be the same trap tile as you get when you drop down. Back down to the 3rd floor. Nice, we've been doing really good dodging those glances. But we got the 1 ribbon. So I'm kind of surprised the eye has not hit any of our characters with it so far. I even got a whole stack of soft potions just in case. Okay, 23 picked up. Getting very close to the point where the level curve is going to flatten out. See how far off we are. About 20,000 right now. I mean, they're getting a level up every 25 eyes. You can probably get at least one more here. Maybe shoot for 25 for this trip. Now, if you wanted to optimize a bit, and you're going for the fastest time for 4 Thieves, I would recommend, like, somewhere in this range to be thinking about dropping down to a smaller party size. Once you've got your 4 fast casts on probably 2 people, I could maybe see going with a 2-party, or 2-person party for the bulk of the fighting. If those would be your 2 katanas. They'll be the people that are going after Lich. And use the other 2 characters just as your people that are doing buffs. Whether it's defense, white shirt, fast spells, like the utility ninjas. And I think that would be pretty adequate. And going with a 2-character party would be getting your levels a lot quicker on them. And push them to the point where they're close to maxing out their attacks per round. Hey, most niftiest. Welcome in and hope you're having a wonderful time here. We've got our 4th Thief adventure continuing on. So far tonight we have done Ordeals, Ice Cave, gotten class changed, finished the Waterfall, the Top of Sea Shrine, Mirage Tower. We're getting some levels right now, doing the rarely seen eye grind, pun intended. And then later tonight, we will continue on with our Final Fantasy VII casual playthrough. We last left off Dan and company. They had just acquired the airship, and you don't have Cloud back yet, so it's a weird stretch of the game where they force you to use some alternate parties. In fact, they also take away Tifa a little bit into the quest line for it. I guess they figured those are the 2 characters that you would be most used to, so if you had to like really shake people up, you got rid of them. But personally, I think we will be fine letting Dan rest for a while. He's had a hard time here in the Ice Cave today. He's done some good work. That's actually our first glance successfully landed. Good job, I. Good job. Meanwhile, through all of these levels, Julie doing 33 damage with the Vorpal Sword and bringing shame to our ninja ancestors. Come on, Julie Cat, get in the game here. You are not pulling your weight in this eye fight. There we go, that's a better hit. Let's see more of those 150s. What do they need for the end game? So the biggest thing that you get from levels is additional attacks per round and strength points. I wanted to get to the point where we can reasonably take on a lot of the fiends with just a single fast. We don't have temper or the power glove. We don't have really the ability to survive long enough to get everybody nicely buffed up. Like, they're gonna have to be doing white shirts and defense swords and doing that fast cast. We want to be like right into the attack phase. So like I'm mainly looking for like Masmin to get to 5 attacks per round, Katana probably to 4 attacks. And I think Defense and Sun also get around 4 attacks without having to get to ridiculous levels of damage output. There we go, that's fight number 2. And then fight number 3 is when we have to bail. So the Vorpal crit for 30 damage, it probably was finally used the right way around. To be fair, the Vorpal sword probably could use better directions. You definitely need to remind people to point the pointy end at the enemy. So many people get that wrong. There's another petrification. That's a little bit more like I expected. In each of these fights, I'm reminded that as much as I enjoy this eye sprite, like, it's pretty well done. The original Beholder is just amazing. Same color palette. So imagine a real Dungeons & Dragons Beholder, like, clearly ripped off 100% from the player's handbook. Done in this color scheme. So you got like a gray and white body with purple accent colors to it. It looks really good. And it's such a shame that they had to permanently get rid of it. Only the Famicom version. I think the MSX version has the original Beholder graphic. And then all the remakes it had to go. Hey, Mr. S, welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful day here and ready to enjoy our 4 Thief adventure. Continuing on. We've got a solid bit of eye grinding going here. Once I get one more encounter, the eye grind is going to have to stop. So we're probably like 20 eyes away from being done. It should be enough for everybody to get level 24. Hey, Falcon. We've got all kinds of horrors here. After our 4th Thief adventure, this weekend we're going to be doing some virtual hideline. It is going to be so scary that many will not survive the process. I was looking at our holiday schedule, and I think that virtual hideline for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas is probably the right amount. Any more virtual highlight than that likely would cause severe disruption to most people's bodily functions, and I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. All 4 Dans, we actually have done that before. The 4 Dans was certainly an epic adventure, very confusing about who was doing what. I think we did 4 Dans with the class being Red Mage. And of course, every time the party gets reordered, you've got no idea who's got what spell slots and what equipment on. It was a complete mystery to everybody. they were doing a lot of Alpha. They were doing a lot of dying, a lot of getting poisoned, some petrification. And an extremely large amount of failing. We added a 5th thief. It's actually an interesting question. Like, if you had a larger party, so you had to split the experience more ways, are there parts of the game where it'd be easier? Like, a lot of it would be hard. Like, having more party members in this case is actually not beneficial. That's why I was recommending, like, if you're gonna try and get the fastest possible 4 thief time, you probably want to drop down to 2 characters right about now. Maybe even a little bit sooner. So that you can focus more experience on your core group that's going to be your main attackers. But I think 5 thieves for Astos would be an improvement. Because that's all about how many critical hits can you get. 5 thieves... I don't know if it would help on Lich. It might be beneficial there. Like, that's the last fight where you are basically limited by what your party quantity looks like. I could maybe see 5 up through Lich. Now, you would pay for that a lot, because you have to do many more Ogres to get to level 10 to have 2 attacks per round for Astos. Wouldn't be that much worse for Lich, though, because you don't do as much grinding. And then, is there an argument for 5 thieves on, like, Chaos? And the tough thing about that is it's such a big commitment for so many parts of the game where it doesn't help. For the one battle where they really do need a lot of assistance. 4 thieves without class changes. Extremely brutal for the end of Temple of Fiends. So let's see, you have one person with the Masmune, Thor Hammer, Zeus Gauntlet, Black Shirt, Mage Staff. How much value is that Mage Staff adding on the Chaos fight? That's probably, what? 150, 160 damage over the course of the battle. That's it's an extra 8%. I could see that might make a difference. You can save 1 round. That could be a make or break difference. But I would probably say I wouldn't really want 5 for Chaos, just because of how much extra cost that would be to get a 5th thief leveled up to 50. Yeah, depending on the moveset, you could maybe hope for meat shields, but since you don't have elemental resistances for them, 1 crack through his first skill, or a lot of the spells for the AoEs, unless you do get them to level 50, they're not going to last that long from like an AoE perspective. Like, he can kill thieves really quickly in large quantities. So it's tough to say whether or not a thief without resistances would be enough of a distraction to be helpful there. Like, I would think they'd be more valuable for potential offense. And maybe saving you a round. I could see if they take a physical attack, though. That would be, like, the biggest thing. You have him waste an entire round punching 1 thief out. You have definitely come out ahead. Yeah, for Kraken 2. Give me, like, 90 thieves. Give me all the thieves you got. And hide the real ones behind a big wall of decoys. Probably need to get like level 9 or 10 to be able to survive the Lit 2. So you can't AoE them, and that would help a lot. It just goes to show you should always have an army of dispensable minions around to avoid getting your hands dirty. We should be coming up on our last encounter here pretty soon. It's like, on average, you get a fight for a random encounter like every 20 to 30 steps, depending on where you are in the encounter cycle. And so you only take one step in between each eye fight. It like very slowly ticks for it to when that battle is going to take place. Sneaking 40 Thieves past list, you definitely have them petrified for that. I don't know if you'd want to have 40 Thieves for Carrie. She's got Fire 3 a concerning amount of time. But it'd be really nice to have some disposable thieves for her physical attack in case she decides to punch somebody. Like, maybe what you do is you get like 100 thieves. And you soften a couple of them for each of those fights. Like, you'll put 10 out for Carrie. And maybe 20 out for Kraken. Another 10 or 20 out for T-Man, then use the rest on Chaos. Just so that you don't lose them all in one fight. But you'll have two people walk into Lich Battle with a gigantic pile of little red wagons behind them with statues. You're like, don't mind us. We've just got some luggage coming through. There we go. Got our fight. Head it back down, and let's get around to the exit. Be a lot better at avoiding the paralysis now. The Ice Mail and Ice Shield, because they give you fire resistance, will prevent the monster's touch attack from functioning. The touch attack element just uses the element from the monster, which in this case, on these undead, is going to be fire. That should be good enough. Frost Giant, Arbone, Mage. So we want to make sure that we don't take two encounters down here. Mages aren't the end of the world, but they are pretty annoying. I guess now that we got two ice items, that actually wouldn't be too bad. Their big things are Rub and Fire 3. So if you have fire resistance and death resistance, you're actually in pretty good shape against them. And level 25, nice. And with that, our Ice Cave interlude has finished. We got the Ice Mail, we got a whole bunch of eye grinding done. Unexpected. Eye dividends were paid. Gonna restock on heals. I'm gonna do Gurgler Volcano, and we'll switch to Final Fantasy 7 once Carrie is dead. Just a couple things to grab in here. We want to get the Ice Sword number 2, Flame Shield, Flame Mail, and then we can head down to finish off the boss, which should be pretty straightforward at these levels. We got decent damage and plenty of fasts to make this battle go quickly. I wouldn't be too worried with the amount of physical defense we have on Carrie's regular attacks. Like, she shouldn't do more than 100 or 150. Hey there, E-Ninja. We indeed have our 4 ninjas here. So for tonight, we've got Ordeals, Ice Cave, Waterfall, Top of Sea Shrine, Mirage Tower, a whole bunch of grinding, and we will get Gurgler Volcano. Momentarily done here as well. After a whole bunch of heal potion shopping. There we go. Cannot hold a single additional heal potion, it seems. And with that, let's go to Gurgler Volcano. Should I move my heal potions over? We don't have an incentivized item in here, or a quest item in the base game, so yeah, I'll do that. At least get them in the middle instead of the worst side for it. Alright, skip one battle. This gets rid of our goals at the start. And then basically most of the speedrun route through here. We can shave off a little bit of time since we're not going to be doing an Agama grind. But our old friend, the lava tiles, they are back. The lava tiles allow us to take lots of steps without provoking fights. So while this is a generally lengthy dungeon in terms of the raw quantity of steps, you're taking around half of them on these damage tiles, which don't actually advance the step count, and it keeps the number of encounters usually down to like 2 or 3 depending on when you come into the volcano. Need anything there? Like, we should just need the northwest corner room. You actually have 2 places where you can get the ice sword. You remember the one chest in randomizer which we don't pick up because it's a duplicate of another chest on the floor? It's a duplicate of the ice sword. So you can either get that sword in the northwest corner or in basically the east side dungeon room. Since I have to get the flame shield, which is also in northwest, and that's the only spot for it. Makes sense to just do these 2 at the same time. There's our ice sword, our green worm, and the flame shield. Pretty sure Ice Sword is going to be way better than the Vorpal Sword. So we can take that upgrade. Armor-wise, Flame Shield is going to go on to probably Serve, because Dan's got a ribbon. doesn't need to have the elemental resistance as badly. Oh, it's kind of a bummer not getting as much physical defense as a result. Goodbye, fair Agamas. You will be missed! We'll see them in Temple of Fiends. I am sure they will come for us. And they'll be here! Alright, 1 or 2 Agamas for the road, just to keep the people happy. There's Agama number 1. Our bonus, Red D. So I probably would not recommend the Red D grind. The dragons just don't give you enough experience to be really justifying the damage they do with things like this blaze spell. And there is our flame mail, so that will replace Julie's gold bracelet. So that gold bracelet can go now. Yeah, nobody needs that. And at this point, we've got the best body armor we can get. Opal bracelet, ice mail, flame mail, gold bracelet. We can do better on shields. Pro capes will replace the bucklers. I could actually get silver shields as well. I might want to do that for just the sake of having a little bit more defense. They're so cheap. They're 4 more defense for 2,500 bucks. But our real long-term item is going to be the Pro Cape, one of which is in Sky Castle, the other of which is on Carrie's floor in Temple of Fiends. And it's probably that second one in Temple of Fiends that gets skipped, so I can hold the white shirt instead. I haven't decided what to get rid of for the white shirt, but that's probably going to be it. Alright, defense and sun on 1st and 4th. And let's get our carry fight. Second of the 4 fiends has arrived. And we are jumping right into it. 600 health. Should be a pretty straightforward fight with fast spells. Yeah, 250 damage in round 1, and we probably can take her out in round 2. I don't think more fast spells are going to be a real improvement here. Yeah, a little bit less than 100 physical damage. We're at 400, 500, and Dan 100. Carry! Our second fiend has fallen. And with that, I believe this will be a good time to switch over to our Final Fantasy VII playthrough. I'm going to restock my heal potions, save the game, and get set up for the second half of our stream. Slightly easier than Lich. I would say maybe like 5% easier. Even if you didn't class change the ninjas, because you could get a lot of levels much more readily, and you'd have Thorhammer, Zeus, Black Shirt, Mage Staff, and Wizard Staff. You could try to keep her on lockdown and do 60 or 70 chip damage per round, which it sounds like a lot, but 9 or 10 rounds is actually not too bad to stay alive. Grab all the ribbons and just tank up against her. To randomize character classes during a run. It's tough to make that functionally work because of things like learning spells and the way the equipment system works in this game. If you actually had a big shared equipment inventory, it would be easier to deal with character class changes. When you only have 4 slots of armor, or a limited number of weapons, you can't really hold on to enough to deal with what happens if somebody, becomes a knight, or stops being a knight. You're gonna have to eventually just kind of drop down to a pretty low level of gear. And that would mean that almost all of the combinations would eventually be like the same-ish in terms of your setup for it. Just die until you get the class you want. If it's something like triggered on death or something, as long as it wasn't giving you like a level 1 character, you could recycle pretty easily on those. But I think that'd be something like, other than, maybe Temple of Fiends, or if you've got a particularly tough stretch, you would just take whatever you got and treat everybody like fighters. Some of your fighters may be squishier, some of your fighters may have worse gear, but effectively everyone would become a fighter in how you would handle it. Okay, Buckler's gone. Other Buckler is gone. So 2 people are going to get silver shields here. Again, +4 defense for basically nothing. Might as well stick those on. Save our game, and that is where we will pause for